Hi, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Stemming in Stilettos. And as you know, I always try to bring us the best guests with the most interesting stories or the most interesting take on whatever it is that's happening in the world of STEM. And today is no different. I put out a call for guests, and Daisy answered the call. So I am really, really excited to one, hear your STEM story, Daisy, and to learn more about you, as same as my audience. And I know that as a woman of color in STEM, that I don't know, I know we're already connected because I too am a woman of color in STEM. So good morning and good afternoon.
Yeah, good morning. It's morning for me.
It's morning for you. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we start every show on every single episode, Daisy, please tell us your STEM story.
So I think mine starts back when I was in seventh grade. I had this environmental teacher who nominated me to go to this STEM camp over the summer for about a week. It was called Tech Trek. And at first I was like, okay, this is interesting. Um, in terms of like I didn't know what to expect.
Mhm.
I've always been interested in science, like since I was a kid. It was just like I was always curious about everything. I always wanted to know why things worked, why things happened. And I guess, um the summer camp really kind of pinpointed me in to a certain like direction. So I'm like
Mm.
really happy about that. There was this class called Mystery Powders, and it was it
Mystery
sounds
powders?
so weird now as an adult whenever I tell this story. But I'm like, this is, back in the early 2000s.
Hmm.
Um, and so the class was called Mystery Powders, and it had to do with here is a unknown powder, but it was like, like sugar or baking soda, something really like benign.
Yeah.
Can you figure out what this, it was a white powder. Can you figure out what this powder is based off of like these different tests that you're going to do? So it's like, acid-base reactions, like what happens if I
Hmm.
add lemon? What happens, does it dissolve well in water? Is the texture, very grainy or is it more like powder, like very, very fine powder? All these different questions that you had to ask and answer. And that kind of is what drew me into chemistry.
Mm.
Um,
You were hooked.
that was, yeah.
I mean, so full disclosure, I did some training for Tech Trek maybe about a year ago, year or
Oh,
two.
wow.
So when you said that, I said, "Oh, I know this program. I know the good work that
Yeah.
they are doing for students all across the United States, like all
Yeah.
across the United States." So,
Mhm.
I mean, it's amazing. So I know you had a great time there. Okay, mystery powders sounds, and then you said white powder. I was like, "What did they have your?" I mean, I know it wasn't
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
illegal, but like it's just sort of like, what is happening here and who allowed this, right?
Yeah.
But then that's when your chemistry brain turned on, just sort of like,
Yeah.
okay, I gotta figure this out.
Yeah. And so like from then I remember like always being drawn to shows where, NCIS and all these things. So originally, like, I wanted to do forensics. Like, okay, there's a problem, you want to solve this. Eventually, when I got to college, like, the chemistry that you need for forensics is like more analytical, a little bit more math-based,
Yeah.
which it was okay, but I was never really the biggest fan of math. And luckily, at the same time, I was taking a different chemistry co course called organic chemistry, which is like every pre-med's worst nightmare. But I found it really, really fun. It was like you take these molecules that are carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen based, so anything that makes up life, and you have to solve problems on like how they make bonds or how they break bonds. And I started noticing these patterns, and I really like patterns. I like solving problems like puzzles because they involve this like, can you find a pattern? um, of where things like fit together. And so I really enjoyed that. Um, and so I kind of gravitated more towards that organic chemistry. It was less math, but it was also more visual, which I guess I really needed. I like to visualize things, and that's kind of how I view everything that I do now. It's just like, okay, how are these molecules interacting on the at the atom level?
Mm, wow. Okay, so when you got to, so you got to college, you found out it's organic chemistry.
Mhm.
Where did you go from there? Like, did you have an internship? Did it take you, like, where did it take you from there?
Yeah. So from there, I decided, so that was like my second year of college. So I didn't know actually what I wanted to do with that because one, I never saw anybody that looked like me in chemistry. Didn't know what was possible besides
Yeah.
working in a pharmaceutical company. Um, and it actually wasn't until like a couple weeks before I graduated where I kind
Oh.
of got another like door opened of like maybe what I could do.
Mhm.
I was giving a small talk to my class, like with my partner. Like we were given a reaction that like none of the students knew, and we had to explain it to our classmates.
Mhm.
And after doing the presentation, the professor came up to me and was like, "Hey, you have a really good voice for like speaking and teaching. Have you ever thought of being a professor?"
Mhm.
And I was like, no, I hadn't thought of that. And he's like, well, you're gonna need to, to go to graduate school for this. But
Yes.
by this time it was spring quarter, so we were on the quarter system, um, for like the UC schools here in California. And so usually when you apply to graduate school, it's like the fall before you graduate. So I had to find something to do. So I actually gained my research experience after graduating, um, because no one wanted to take someone, none of like the research groups want to take someone that was about to graduate to like involve them in their
Yeah, they want you to stick
research
around
group.
for a little bit, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
but I didn't know I wanted to do that
Right.
until much, much later. So eventually I actually took an internship at a pharmaceutical company, GNF, which is part of Novartis down in San Diego. And I did that for like 10 months, and then went to graduate school. So I technically had like a year off between undergrad and grad school.
Yeah, well, I mean, but you were still working.
Yeah.
What would you say is what are some of the lessons you took from doing that internship?
I really appreciate that, I actually did not go straight into graduate school. I actually liked that I took time to like explore something else. And it kind of reaffirmed like, oh, I do not want to work in the pharmaceutical industry. It was
Like
great.
this
I
is not
learned
it.
like
Yeah.
there's so much cooperation and overlay, um, that you have to talk to like the biologists, the virologists, like computational scientists, whether it's like computation biology, computation chemistry. You had to connect with teams across the world. Like we were working on a project where half of the team was in Basel, so Switzerland.
Well,
So I realized that, oh, like science is really cooperative in like these big spaces. So I kind of enjoyed learning about that.
I think that's very interesting. I don't know that I've ever thought about science in quite that way before. I mean, you think about the science community, right?
Mhm.
But you don't think about how like the all of them are sort of interconnected in a communal sort of way. Like we're
Mhm.
all, we may all be working on this project or the situation or the problem in from our various and sundry areas. Every little piece is interconnected and
Yeah.
they're all important in whatever the ways that they, I don't know if it's a hierarchical relationship or it's a flat line relationship, but I really love that. I really love, thank you for just bringing that up.
Yeah.
I think that's so beautiful. And especially in our pharmaceutical, especially right now, I feel like everything about, the pharmacy medicine world
Yeah.
with, vaccines and all the things that are happening. Um, Not that we need to go there, but I just know that I think that there's a disconnect between what the what the community is doing and
Mhm.
what the perception is that
Yeah.
they're doing. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. Okay, so grad school.
Yeah. Went to grad school, 5 years. I moved halfway across the country. So I was based in Southern California and I moved to Indiana. So
Oh,
very different from Southern California.
yeah.
Um, and that is, where I specialized in like a specific type of organic chemistry. We
Hmm.
call it organometallic chemistry. So combining organic chemistry and chemistry that also has to do with involving metals
Hmm.
that you have in the periodic table, whether they are common metals, so something like iron that you find in our crust, or something a bit more, what's the word I want to say exotic, a bit
Obscure,
more, we call
obscure,
it, what do we call it? We call it rare.
rare.
Because
Okay.
there's just like less of it. So something like um, palladium, platinum, those metals are a little bit rarer, but they can
Is
do some
platinum
really great
rare?
chemistry. Say that again?
Is platinum rare?
Uh, I guess it's expensive to mine and it's only found in certain places around
Ah,
the world. That's
okay.
like,
Understood. Understood. Okay.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like maybe there's a handful of tiny pockets, maybe in the continental, like North America, but I believe the most of them come from like the Eastern Hemisphere. That just has to do with like the geological process of like how they were formed.
Got
Um,
it. Got
yeah,
it. Okay. I don't think I thought about that either. It's just sort of like, hey, I want my whatever to be platinum. And you it's like, that you have no sense of like what has to happen for your thing to come into being. So,
yeah. I personally feel like gold is much more available than like things like palladium or
mhm.
platinum, but I never like actually have looked it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I did research, but I was also very lucky enough that my advisor let me take a little bit of time off. It was like my last 2 years to be able to volunteer at a local museum as a early education intern. And so
Whoa.
like that's kind of where I got the experience of, okay, how can I explain complex science topics to small little kids? And you'd be surprised, they can understand some like
I wouldn't be
insane
surprised.
topics. So I'm like,
Yeah.
wow. And like
No,
you
kids get
actually like
it.
were able to talk about this afterwards, like to a different person.
Yeah, no, kids get it. It's the way in which it's presented. It's got to be visual, some kind of, sometimes fun. But like if you speak plain words, they get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I love that. I was not expecting you to say, I don't know what I was expecting you to say. That wasn't it though. I love a plot twist. Okay, so you did another type of internship where you were working at the museum to sort of introducing this whole idea of organic and
Or
metal
just it was just
kids.
science in
Oh,
general.
science in
It was
general
yeah.
to the little babies, to the
Yeah.
churns, to
Yeah,
the
it was
churns,
like
as my mama
it
says.
was like ages 2 to 5 that we like
Oh, so you
focused
had the
on.
little littles.
Little littles, yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. So what was your biggest takeaway there?
Um, I think for there, it was that you really can communicate science to really everyone. You just have to have the right type of like patience, the right type of like thinking of how you want to present certain topics.
Mm,
And so that kind of also like really stuck with me of like, science communications should also happen like outside of research.
mm,
Um, because like now we really need science communicators to help bridge that gap that you had mentioned before, right? What's the perception and what's actually going on? Um,
yeah, yeah,
right. You need the people that actually can understand the science, but also are able to ex distill down the science.
yeah. No, I think that is so very needed. And I'm glad that you're out here doing that work, right? Or that you've had that experience where you
Mhm.
can do that work because it is it's just very much needed in this time and space. Okay. So where are you now?
So I guess so now, that was almost 10. No, wait. I did six. Oh gosh, it's been yeah, 6 years ago, I guess is so 6 years ago I finished my PhD. Um, and then I moved again halfway across the country to the East Coast. So I was actually a professor for 4 years at a small liberal arts college in the Northeast. And I actually left that job two years ago. Um, and actually I'm now back in Southern California, back where there's like sun and warmness.
Uh-huh.
I just was like, I am not meant to be in cold
In cold
places.
weather. Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was like, the biology in me is like, no, we are not meant to be in this like very cold environment when you don't see the sun for 8 months.
Heard you. Heard you. Heard you.
Uh, but now so I'm doing science communication with like small projects here and there. So I like help out with a YouTube series that the National Academy of Sciences puts out through one of their like sub branches called LabX. We do Chemist in the Kitchen. I also work with a nonprofit right now called Latinas in STEM. And I'm actually also doing soil. Right now I'm a soil scientist um, with the fires that happened in Southern California. So I'm actually doing soil testing and we're helping people, get the information that they need and also providing them with ways where they can make their soil healthy again without having to dig that soil and like take it somewhere else or like dump it somewhere else where, that's going to affect a different community down the road. But you
So
can
you
try to
mean,
amend the soil now with more, with just like natural ways, biological ways.
so you're talking about the soil that is there after the fires are over. So it's kind of charred and
Yes.
okay.
So like like all the residential area, well, residential properties, whether they've burned down or have not burned down, are affected with different types of chemical contaminants. Um,
Oh,
so
wow.
lead is the big one that, is in the media, but
Yeah.
we also find things like other metals like cobalt, cadmium, and
Oh my gosh. Like,
yeah.
wait a minute.
And
So,
arsenic. So some of it is probably pre-existing, which is unfortunate, but some of it was brought on by the fires because like cars burned down.
yeah.
And
Oh,
so the
yeah.
community that, was affected was actually like north of me. So I'm in the like, I guess south of the Eaton fire where that happened. I'm in Pasadena and Altadena is like literally right next door. The
Yeah.
fire started about a mile and a half from where I am. Like our home is fine. We were evacuated. But the fire ended up going west instead of south.
Yeah.
So like that entire community, like city is basically like just, there's like nothing.
Oh, wow.
But like people need, we're trying to provide reduced fees and all, like free testing because like some families just can't afford it because whether it's like insurance related or not. But if they want to build their home, they should know, what's in the soil, like what can they do to provide a really healthy, like landscape if, they decide to move their families back in or build their home again. Because some
So,
people have children or dogs, right? And you want them to be healthy and not
yeah.
be affected by stuff.
Okay. I have a couple questions. Um, are there, how do I want to phrase this question? I'm just going to talk it through. Um, are there soil, is there soil that is more fire resistant than others?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So in my mind, I was like, huh, that would be interesting if we could create some type of soil or some type of something that isn't going to be harmful to the soil that would assist in it
Mm-hmm.
not being, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know if that's possible. But it also had me thinking about like all of the things you were talking about. Like I feel like everything you mentioned is like, wait a minute, that's poison. That's we can't have like, oh my gosh. And it, there's one of those things where you feel like you knew that, but like to have
It's like
someone sort of
really out there now.
yeah, so like, oh, okay. So like as my engineer's kind of scientist brain is like, yeah, you probably don't want to be, like I don't want to eat anything from there. I don't want to plant anything in the soil because
Yeah, so a lot of the community, like they actually had their own gardens. So like we're doing testing in like what where it used to be their garden because they obviously when they move back in, they want to use that same space. But we have to provide amendments. So we introduce a couple of like minerals and we try to use like natural microbiology, like fungi
Mhm.
and microbes. So some of those can actually help break down some of the contaminants or even sequester them so they're
Mhm.
not available to like leach out in the soil where, plants start growing. Like if you want to pick up a fruit, root vegetable like a tomato or
So,
something.
so what happens? Okay, so explain this to me because I'm all in. So when they are sequestered, what is happening?
So it's like they're being captured in a tiny little space, like the metals or any other the contaminants that we're seeing. And when they're captured in like this tiny little space, so they're not gonna, be available in the soil. Like when you water the soil, the roots aren't gonna be able to get into that tiny little space anymore. Like to
Uh,
like try to pull them up, right?
so
Like they do the thing.
do
They
they
just stay
stay
there.
there?
They
Oh, okay.
stay there. Yeah.
Okay.
But like, so what we try to do is that we put the thing that will do the sequestering at the very bottom, filled with like compost and mulch, like a couple of inches. And then, you know, um, hopefully that's enough space for like the new roots, to have space where they can be. But
Yeah.
all the sequestering stuff hopefully is at the bottom. So anything that's like contaminated or the chemical contaminants will go to the bottom.
Okay. I have, thank you. Am I'm learning because like my mind I have oh my goodness. So why at the bottom and not at the top? Because in my mind, like what happens if the new roots can get to it? Can the new roots get to it?
The new roots are too big to like fit into like where the sequestering is happening. Like
Okay.
roots are significantly better to the size of like some of these chemical contaminants.
Okay.
And some there like certain microbes and fungi will actually break down some of the contaminants.
Hmm.
Like kind of like chop them up into really smaller pieces where then the microbes themselves will just eat it. And so so it's like really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got me so intrigued. I feel like this is like a mini series. Like I feel like this is like a YouTube channel. I mean, I'm like so intrigued as to how this is happening, what it actually looks like, all the like all the I don't know. You got me. You have me and totally intrigued. I would be all about that. Because I mean, but I think that's the way like your engineer scientist, my engineer scientist brains, like I want to try, I was a mechanical engineer, so I'm always trying to figure out how things work.
Mhm.
And that's in any space that I'm in, whether that's I'm talking to an educator or a business person or a scientist or whatever. I'm always the one to say, okay, wait a minute, how does that work? And then trying to see it because I'm also visual. So like you're talking and I'm like, okay, I can see how that works. And then see how like I can put pieces together in my mind and
Mhm.
anyway. So thank you. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's where we were going, but it's where we went.
Yeah.
Oh, My goodness. I feel like I mean, your job sounds exciting to me. It's probably not as exciting as it sounds to me. But the one of the things that I understand about a scientist's brain is like the idea of discovery is like your whole, it's almost that's why you kind of do what you do and to be helpful and to be of service.
Yeah, that's I think something that's kind of why I also like kind of took this job. Because my like it's my friend has a small business, so it's like I'm helping her out. But like she needed help on the chemistry side because she's like a biologist. And so like understanding like what do these contaminants do, these chemical contaminants do, where do they like to go, right? And then like doing the whole, we have to read the literature to see what's been done, but like that's still different from applying it to the field. But like luckily we finally have some results from a place where um we applied this like method, and it does seem like certain levels of contaminants did go down. So it's like good to show that it's like it's working.
Yeah.
Like that's really good. Um, and hopefully, like, we can have other people um in the community that's been affected to try this. And so, like, we're gonna be training people um to help go out to certain properties where, some people just cannot afford this type of, we call it bioremediation, but to provide this bioremediation service like for free. So that's really
Wow.
good. Yeah.
Love this. Okay. I have two, maybe two more questions for you.
Mhm.
Um, all right. So if people are looking for Daisy, Dr. Daisy, where can they find you? When, like, do you have a website? Are you going to be speaking someplace, or is there a place you want them to be able to go to and visit?
Yeah, so I have a LinkedIn page. You can find me there, Dr. Daisy Rosas Vargas. Um, and I do have a website. So if you just like Google my name, Daisy Rosas Vargas, it should pop up pretty quickly. And then I'm also pretty active, I guess, on social media, specifically like Instagram.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I post some of the stuff that I'm doing, as well as a couple of like science communication videos that I've been doing, and any projects that come up will be like announced there or on my website. Yeah.
I love that. Okay. So, as I say, almost every show, you guys read the show notes. Her LinkedIn page and her website will be in the show notes. So if you want to contact Dr. Daisy, read the show notes, right? just read the show notes. You'll click on the link. It's right there. Okay. All right. So our last question of the show is the following. If you could travel back through time and talk to your younger self, what advice would you give her and why?
I would tell her to be patient,
Mm.
and not everything should be done in like this like very straight, like a straight line. Like a journey is always just going to have its like curves, these long roads, maybe a couple like shortcuts, but it's not going to be like it's straight. Which is what I've like learned through like my whole process of, I guess, like my entire STEM journey has just been, I have taken opportunities, but if some of them didn't work out for various reasons, I have the skills that I can pivot to like other um aspects of like what I enjoy and where you can be useful. And so yeah, just try to be patient, and it's okay if like, things don't work out the first time.
Oh, so good. So good and so true. I think that is your advice is I mean it's your advice, but I second all of those. STEM is this windy, twisty road that can take you in areas that you never thought you'd be in. You're talking to people that you never thought you'd meet. You're going to be in rooms that it's like, okay, how did I get here? Not that you don't belong, because you belong in any room that you're in.
Hmm.
But just wow, right? Um, and that, yeah, it takes time. It's just it takes time. I do want to go back. I just forgot to have you give some more information about Latinas in STEM. If you
Mhm.
wanted to talk more about that really quickly.
Yeah, so Latinas in STEM is a national nonprofit that helps young Latinas, one, like be interested in STEM, support them in the college part of their STEM journey, as well as like post graduating. Because the statistic is that, I think it's like 8% of people in STEM are Latinas, and then 1.8% of them actually have like PhDs. So it's like even a smaller number. And something that like even I myself see it is like um, as you're going through like your career, you're going to need a support system.
Yeah.
And that support system, helps you stay in your career and not hopefully abandon STEM
Hmm.
due to, the various different reasons. But as you mentioned before, like we belong in the space. We're just as capable, just as smart as anybody else in that space.
Yes. Yes.
And so, yeah, Latinas in STEM kind of helps provide that type of support system. There's like scholarships for young girls, and they also host these like STEM 101 days at different public schools across the country.
Okay, that too will be in the show notes. So I will
Yep.
link to their website so that if this is you or something that you're interested in, you want to volunteer or do whatever, or connect with them in whatever capacity, you'll have the opportunity to at least go to their website and um, find out what you can do from there. Okay, so I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to talk and that we had the opportunity to do this show today. Um, Man, I feel like there's a part two in here somewhere. So to my audience, Dr. Daisy doesn't know it yet, but she's probably going to be invited back for a part two.
I have so much more to talk about of like things. Yeah.
Good, good, because I feel like there's a part two in here.
Okay.
And so you guys will probably be seeing her again pretty soon. So I really want to thank you today for your time. Oh my God, this was so good. It was
Thank
so
you for having me.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Like I'm so super excited about where else we could go, but like the conversation today has me jazzed. So I love it when I have the opportunity to learn something, and you taught me today. So I'm really appreciative. Okay, you guys. So that concludes today's episodes of Stemming in Stilettos. And as you guys, as I always say, catch us on YouTube. And at the end of the day, you guys, please keep yourselves safe.